Moe Abbassi back at it again, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about the 8 biggest lessons I've learned from over a decade of boxing experience. Let's get into it. Number 1 is diligent, boring hours equals mastery and perfection. One thing that I've learned from boxing, especially with just muscle memory that doesn't leave over a long period of time, is the more that you practice each punch, each movement, the way that you move, the mechanics of the punch, you start to build muscle memory around them to the point where each punch becomes almost damn near perfect, and you become a really strong, fast, and good puncher. This applies in all areas of life because within work, within your personal life, within your health, within your habits, the more that you do them, the easier it actually becomes to do them all over again. And you start to do them without even having to put conscious thought processes behind them. It just becomes unconscious. It becomes a part of who you are, and it gets done very, very easily. Number 2, which builds on point 1, is practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. I see a lot of people online who are trying to learn martial arts and do all of these things, and they're doing things completely wrong. And the more you do things wrong, the harder it is to actually fix them. So now you have to fix the entire process just to become normal again, to learn the process. So it takes double the amount of time that it would have originally took to learn everything. And I see this with a lot of people who are running businesses, or they're trying to fix their habits. They're doing things completely wrong. And because they're doing things wrong, it takes even that much more time to unlearn them, to learn how to do it right. Number 3 is to go head into the fear. Do not hide or run away from it. One thing that I did when I was first starting to spar is I was extremely reactive. I was so scared. Every time a punch came at me, my hands would go down. I would try to be running away the entire time. After some time, you learn how to really just stand up for yourself, and you put your guard up, you go directly into the fear, and you realize it wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be. And this is the same thing in life. A lot of the fears that we have is worse in our head than it is in reality. If it happens in reality, most of the time, nothing bad actually happens. I saw this often when I was a dating coach. I would help guys actually go out there and meet women, and they would make these huge scenarios in their heads of what would happen if they ended up approaching the girl. And most of the time, they would approach the girl and nothing would happen. The worst case scenario is they would just walk away. And so they had built all of this unnecessary fear in their head of the worst case scenario and people looking at them and them getting humiliated and all this stuff. And when they would do it, they would realize nothing actually bad happens. So the same thing applies in all areas. With your habits, with your business. You're thinking of starting a business, go for it. What's the worst case scenario? There usually isn't. And the worst case scenario is made way bigger and magnified in your head than it is in reality. Number 4, which builds again on that last point, is desensitize yourself to your overreactions. You don't want to be reactive. You want to be proactive and counter. So similar to boxing is, before I used to be extremely reactive. I would try to react to things and you get caught. You get, caught slipping, for the lack of a better word. But what's better is focus on your proactiveness. How do you counter? How do you see the person's attack and then boom, hit right back? The same thing in life. If you have anything that you are dealing with, anything that's tough, don't use it as an excuse to just fall back behind, to just keep going on the ropes. Push forward, counter. If something bad happened to you, I can guarantee you there is a positive and a benefit to it that you can use to go head on in life. Be proactive, stop being reactive. Number 5 is the small setups lead to the big punches. And so this is very similar to doing a couple jabs and then boom, right hook, right? Setting it up so that you can lead to the big punches. And in life, the small habits that you do on a day-to-day, minute-by-minute, hour-by-hour, week-to-week, month-to-month basis builds up over time to the point where your life can look completely different. It causes drastic changes. The small habits today are what lead to the big successes in the future. So don't take your habits lightly. You know, if you're like, oh, I fell off one day, I fell off 2 days, I fell off 3 days, sure, but get back on the horse, because getting back on the horse will allow you to create drastic changes in the future of your life. Number 6, strategically plan after every failure towards success. One thing that I remembered myself I would constantly do after every sparring session to truly learn from it is I would remember what I would mess up on. I would almost reenact it in my own head. Oh, he started to punch this way, but he kept doing this over and over again. He wouldn't slip. He wouldn't move in this way. He didn't have footwork. But in that moment, for some reason, I was losing. And so I would reenact in my own head the things that I was doing wrong, the things that he was doing right, the things that he was also doing wrong, and what I could plan to do next time. And the next time I would go, if it was with the same person and I would be sparring them, I would often be able to get the better of them because I knew and I had planned ahead of time. I reenacted it in my head of where their weaknesses were. The same thing in life is something bad happens. Don't just fall back and say, oh, I suck. This happened, that happened. It's like, no, see what went wrong. What did you do that could have been done better to had planned for the failure ahead of time to create success next time? That is how a winner thinks, to be able to go back into it, try until they get the success. Number 7, remain humble or you will be humbled. After some time of doing boxing and learning it and doing a couple sparring sessions, I started to get a little bit mouthy and I started to talk a lot of shit to people that I probably shouldn't have talked shit to, guys who were bigger than me and more experienced than me. And trust me, they humbled me real bad, to the point where I know this is an overreaction and he should have probably not done this, but I ended up getting a really bad concussion. But the point is that no matter what happens, no matter how much you think you're winning, no matter how much you think you're good at something, there is always more that you can learn. Remain humble. Remain the learner of the experience. Don't just immediately go into the mentorship and being the teacher. Constantly learn new ways. Be a student of life and you will always progress and move forward. Otherwise, life will humble you. And number 8, which builds on the last point, there's always a new level up. You can always progress way more than you can right now. You might think, I've done all the progressing. I'm all good. I'm, self-developed. Truth is, you're not even beginning your journey. And similar to me, I know at this point, after many years of experience, hundreds of thousands of dollars, I can go, oh, I'm self-developed. The truth is, I'm just beginning. I'm just starting to learn. I am still a student of the craft, and I'm gonna continue to learn and progress because I know that a year, 5 years, 10 years from now, I will be a completely different person. So let's recap the 8 steps. Be diligent with the boring effort. This creates progress. Practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So make sure that you have teachers. Make sure you have mentors who can teach you perfect practice. Go head into the fear. Don't hide or run away from it. Desensitize yourself to your overreactions, okay? Don't be reactive to life. Be proactive and actually counter any failures or any setbacks that you have. Number 5, small setups lead to big successes, similar to small habits leading to big long-term successes. Number 6 is strategically plan towards success whenever you have a failure. Number 7, remain humble, okay? Be a student. And number 8, continue to make progress while being a student. Don't think that you've learned it all. Hopefully this video is helpful. If it is, make sure to give it a thumbs up or subscribe. If you have any suggestions for content, just hit me up on Instagram or comment below, and we will talk soon. Take care.